I wanted to talk about maybe some of the practical elements about writing a book that has to do with so much research and archival work.
Yeah.
And it's such a joy for me as a poet who engages in that way to
You
also
do.
find models.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you about your process with that. It's very easy when you're researching, as I'm sure you know, to go down a complete rabbit hole
Yeah.
and try to dig yourself back up to actually making. And so I was just curious, how did you know I have enough? Okay, I can stop. Okay, I can write. Okay, I need to look back at this. How did you do that?
Well, you know, your teacher, your former teacher, Adrian, is a friend, and The Big Smoke
Yes.
is such an amazing book, the history of Jack Johnson and how he brings it back, and now he has the graphic novel too.
Yeah.
So just because I could name any number of poets, but I am a big fan of Adrian and his work, and we both know him, I would just say that I had many models. This is a little different because each book is different, but I would, I'm indebted to Lucille Clifton's At the Walnut Grove Plantation, in South Carolina. There, didn't know it at the time, but when I was reading, for the decades I was reading, and particularly Black poets, whose need, I think, to recount these histories is greater. We see these absences readily, we feel them, and we want to be part of the project of history. And so, in a way, I'm joining in that chorus of voices. So I don't want to single my work out because I recognize my indebtedness and that I'm part of a tradition. Elizabeth Alexander, the Venus Hottentot, like I could just rattle off Natasha Trethewey, Belloc Ophelia. Too many people have gone before for me not to at least allude or directly mention the fact that there's a body of work I'm writing into. And how I worked with research, probably somewhat differently than each of these writers, but I think the basis of it is that underpinning that we need to see ourselves present in a history that would have it be otherwise.
Oh, need.
I only write anything that feels like I need to write it. That's a litmus test for me as a writer. If I don't need to write it, I don't like to write it. I won't probably.
Yeah, why bother?
And even when I'm given assignments, I have to find the need.
To your students?
For myself. If I'm commissioned, I was commissioned to write a poem for a project in the UK that's looking at the transatlantic trade in enslaved Africans from the perspective of the UK experience, resulted in an anthology of poems that accompanied a visual art exhibition that was launched last fall throughout the UK. And I was asked, as one of the Caribbean writers to contribute a poem. I had to find my way into that through need. And I ended up writing a monologue that was another monologue in my mind in Nancy's voice about speaking to her mother. In this book, she speaks to her granddaughter, Isabella, for whom she has played the role of a mother because her mother dies in childbirth. But this is Nancy's poem speaking to her grandmother. Her mother, who she lost. So I think that's how I do it. I kind of, even when I'm given an assignment, and I wanted to honor that, I find a way in through saying, what is my unfinished business? How can I make of this something that feels really essential and organic?